everyone, welcome you all. In today's video, we will understand the introduction to performance testing. So this is an entire video series where I will be covering the entire performance testing scope required in a professional corporate level from zero, a very beginner level to advanced level. I can assure you, if you stick to this video series till the end, you will be an expert in no time. Okay, so less of talking and let's start our today's video. So what we are going to cover in this video, we are going to cover what is performance testing, why is performance testing important, what are types of performance testing, what are the key metrics to measure. So basically when we are performance testing a system, what are the things that we actually measure and what are the things that we depict from that results. Okay, we will be discussing those, and the last but not the least and very important topic is performance testing life cycle. So this will be going to be your base of your entire performance testing journey. So here what you will understand the entire performance testing, how it happens, in what steps, what you have to do, what step you have to follow, and after each step what are the things that you need to take care of. So if you are a engineer, if you are doing a performance testing, you will find yourself lying in one of those steps only, all right, at any moment. Okay, let's start with the first topic, which is what is performance testing. So basically, what do we say? What is performance testing? It is a type of software testing that measures the speed, scalability, stability, and responsiveness of an application. Okay, under certain load. So this is a bookish definition. We will, so basically what we are going to do, we will just try to understand in performance testing that if a system is there, for example, if an application or an app of, for example, Amazon or Flipkart or Hotstar, if it is running, then if we put some load on that system, then how will the system behave in those cases? This is what we are going to understand. What is the server load capacity, what server will, how many servers will required, what is the number of CPUs required, everything in detail we will understand in performance testing. So basically imagine if you are launching a ticket booking website. So for example, you have a website called Make My Trip. So in Make My Trip, basically it's a ticket booking website which books international tickets as well. So at any given point of time, there can be 10,000 users booking the tickets at once. So imagine that type of load which the app is handling. So to handle that load, they have to test it that if the system is capable of handling such a load or not. If not, then there will be more code changes and it we have to make it handle. So this is what we are going to learn in entire performance testing journey. I can give you a classic example as well. So for example, you might have seen Disney Hotstar. In Disney Hotstar, if you have watched cricket match or some live series, you might have seen 10 million plus viewers. So what does it mean? It means that at a given point of time, 10 million people are watching. It means 1 crore people are watching this cricket match. So imagine the load which the server have to handle. So that testing needs to be done and everything is covered in performance testing. The sites responds within 2 seconds. So the site should respond in not even 2 seconds. This is a very very big number, 2 seconds. It should ideally respond in 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds. So imagine if you are clicking a button and it takes 2 seconds to redirect you to the next page, how inefficient our apps will be and how much a user will be irritated, right? No one wants that. So that needs to be tested under performance testing. Server doesn't consume 100% CPU under load. This is a very important point, that server does not consume 100% CPU under load. So let me just explain you how CPU works little bit. I will not go into much detail of this topic as we will be covering in the further videos, but a brief idea should be enough to start with. So first of all, let's try to understand what is a CPU, how is a CPU made. So basically this is your system, for example. And when we say 2 core CPU, 4 core CPU, what does it mean? If we say 2-core CPU, it means we have 2 CPUs inside the system. Okay, so when we have 2 CPU inside the system and we are running some code, okay, for example, if we run some code and the CPU contains threads are the individual units which execute your code, executes your function or classes. Okay, so each CPU can have multiple threads. Okay, so let's say CPU number 1, it has 1 2 3 4 threads, and let's say CPU number 2, 1 2 3 4 5 n number of threads. For example, let's say it has 10 threads. Okay, so each thread is doing certain task, executing certain code. So when we say that 100% of the CPU is utilized, we mean that all the threads are utilized. Okay, and no thread is free. So if a new request comes, then no thread is free to handle that request and process that code. So the best we say that we should have a 70 to 75% of CPU uses. So when we say 70 to 75% of CPU uses means 70 to 75% of the threads are being utilized, and 20 and 25% are in reserve or is in it can be utilized for further request processing. So you might have also understood that if 100% is not good, then 20% is also not good. Why? Because the less CPU handling, if you say, let's say we have 10 threads, okay, and out of 10 threads you are only using 2 threads to process your request, and the rest 8 threads are in reserve or they are idle, they are not doing anything. So it means it is a waste of resource. So we will not want either 20% nor 100%. We will want somewhere between 70 to 75%, which is the ideal ratio, ideal percentage. Okay, let's move ahead. So what is our next topic? Our next topic is why performance testing is important. So why it is important, as you might have understood by now, as taken the example of Disney Hotstar. So how many people are watching, and we want that no people should be irritated, and every user should have a good experience of using that app. So for that, performance testing is required. So it's a real example. Once Amazon reported 1 second delay and $1.6 billion revenue were lost. So basically, when the app faces slowness or some slowness inside the system, the user drops. If you want to order something from Amazon, you go to Amazon, you feel that the system is very slow. Will you order? No, you will just switch back to Flipkart or some probably other e-commerce website and order it from there. No one is patient enough to go through the app. And so I hope you understand, right? So next is system reliability. Prevents downtime during peak hours. So when there is a sale going on, there should not be any downtime, because if there is a downtime, it impacts the business. Identifying the bottlenecks help detect slow DB. So basically, there in code there may be, it is written in such a way that there may be a DB lock or some deadlock in the code, so that all the things can be identified with the help of performance testing. In detail we will understand how in the further videos, but these are the things that we are going to cover and we are going to understand. Okay, next, what are the types of performance testing? So now we are going into the nitty-gritty of performance testing, and we are slowly becoming a little advanced. Okay, so what are the types of performance testing? The number one is load testing. Number one is load testing. So in load testing, what we do, so for example, we have made an app. For example, our app is, let's say, XYZ TV. Okay, now I will load test, and I know that 1000 users will come in on a daily basis. Okay, and this is my estimation that in next 1 month or in next 1 year I should be able to handle 1000 to, for example, let's take 1000 only for understanding purpose. So if we want to handle 1000 users, so we, before going live, we have to do performance testing on this with a load of maximum 1000 users. So once we test it with the in 1000 users, we know that okay, our system can handle this much of traffic, and now we are going live. So what does it mean? It means we have done a load testing on this. So we have put a load of 1000 users and we have done the testing. Number two is stress testing. So what is stress testing? So now let's take this example only. When I say 1000 users is our target and our system can handle 1000 users. Now I will stress the system. I will try with 5000 users. Okay. So when we try with 5000 users, we are putting stress on the system, and then we will observe the behavior of the system in 5000 users. So this is called as stress testing. Number three is here spike testing. So spike testing, what does spike testing refers to? So for example, if there is a sudden spike in the traffic, is our server capable enough to handle that? So for example, let's say we have our Amazon app, okay, and some seller someday out of the blue moon decided that I will drop the price of iPhone from 60,000 rupees to, let's say, 20,000 rupees. It's his choice. He has dropped the price. So suddenly there will be a spike on the system because the user will come to know that there's a price drop and everyone will try to order at the same time. So for example, if our system was built for 1000 user, a sudden spike of 10,000 user might come. So is our system capable enough to handle this spike? This is called spike testing. Number four, scalability testing. So scalability testing is, so basically how much you can scale your system. So for example, now you are having 1000 users. In let's say next 5 years you are planning to have 10 lakh users. Okay, so how much you are capable enough is, can your system scale from 1000 to 1 lakh after increasing infrastructure, obviously. Okay, this is called as scalability testing. Is your code capable enough? Fifth is endurance testing. So endurance testing, as the name suggests, endurance testing refers to the long-term testing. For example, you keep a load of 1000 users for next 24 hours on the system and see if the system can be still alive after this much of load or not, or our server has crashed. Okay, so this is called as endurance testing. Okay, we have understood the types of performance testing. Now if you have any doubt, you can comment as well. Let's move to the other topic, which is how to do performance testing. So how do we do performance testing? It's very simple. There are tools, not simple in the sense you have to understand the tools and understand the codes as well. So basically there are tools like JMeter, which is widely used and open source, free of cost. Okay, and then the next very trending technology is K6, which is modern and is very efficient. So in our entire video series we will cover JMeter and K6 in detail. Okay, next, what are the things that we measure during a load testing? Although there will be a detailed view on this, but let's try to get an overall idea of what we are going to do. Okay, so the overall idea is how much time it's taking to respond our server. So for example, we have created an API. That API hits some other database. So how much time does it take to hit the database and get our data back? Okay, the time we will record, the time requests. So how many requests per second it can, I mean, for example, this API in 1 second can get 100 data from the database. That we have to understand. That is called throughput as well. Percentage error, how many times the API is failing to get the data. Delay before response start, is there any delay or not? What is the request latency? What is the response time? Everything we have to understand and measure, and I will tell you how to measure in detail. Okay, next, this is the most important topic. We will understand this. Okay, that is performance testing life cycle. So the name suggests life cycle means you have to understand that when you are an engineer and when you are starting with your performance testing journey. So for example, I'm your manager, I give you an API and I tell you that do a performance testing on this API and tell me. Okay, so what are the steps that you need to follow, step by step process, to get the entire result. So this is my step number 1, which is the requirements. So first what you have to do, you have to gather the requirements with your product managers, that when we are building a system, for how many users we are targeting. This is the requirement that you have to gather. Number 2, after you have the requirements, okay, now you know that I have to test for 1000 users. These are my requirements. I have to do the environment setup. Environment setup means you cannot directly run your performance testing on your production environment, because if you run performance testing in your production environment, the environment might go down and the app might go down. Okay, so in that case, we will have a lower environment, which is a UAT environment or some other environment, where exact data should be mocked and exact infra should be mocked. So for example, in production you are using 2-core CPU. Okay, here also you should have 2-core CPU. Everything, all the details need to be same. Next is design. You have to do your test case design. So here you have to write your test cases, like what are the test cases, use cases you will perform, for how many users you will perform. This entire designing part you will do in this step. The 4th point is execution. Now you have to execute it. And the 5th point is reporting. Okay, so in reporting we will learn how to, in reporting, so basically you will have to understand how to report the data, how to analyze the data, what does CPU means, what does memory utilization means. Everything you need to understand and report. Then you have to analyze the data, and at last, if in analysis you find that performance is not okay, then it will go back to the developer. There will be a new code fix, and then you will execute again. So reiteration, retesting, this is called as retesting part, and after that your things are ready. Okay, so this is the entire life cycle. For every important life cycle we have a dedicated video. All right, so this is all for this video. I hope you have liked the video. If you have liked it, you can consider subscribing, and you can watch the other videos as well, which will help you to grow. Until then, goodbye.